and boom goes the dynamite.
Welcome back to another week and another edition of Daily Dive, the only Monday through Friday live lacrosse talk show. I'm your host, Michael Karvelis, saying good morning to all on the West Coast, and on the East Coast, good afternoon. It's time for lunch. So, on today's Daily Dive, I'll get to, in our top story, my NLL Fan Experience with the Georgia Swarm as they beat the Saskatchewan Rush. In our Fanatics segment, I'll get to Week 19 review as Albany upset Rochester like I said they would. Colorado and San Diego had to come back in their games, and Calgary beat the snot out of Panther City. We'll also talk about, in our last brew, 3 stars of the weekend. Who was it? Did any from the Georgia Swarm make it onto the show? Hope you guys are ready. I know I am. Let's get into this. Top story presented by our Daily Dive store, where you can get the best merchandise with this logo on it. Go to Daily Dive Lax on our social media pages and check out the Our Store tab when you click that link tree. Again, it's the best way to promote our show as we help to grow the game. My NLL fan experience was one that was really fun for the game itself, but it was not as good as I wanted it to be because of how it ended, and I'll explain it this way. Not that any of you care about the last part of this, but it's just how my weekend went. So on Saturday, had breakfast with a good friend at a nice place here around the Savannah, Georgia area. And then about noon Eastern, I left for the Georgia Swarm game. And I went up there, and it was raining the entire way there. Not hard rain, but it was raining enough, and it was cold, which I love cold weather, by the way. I was having a blast. I got up there to meet the PR person for the Georgia Swarm, and she was phenomenal, helped me out a bunch. I got my own media pass. But as for the fan experience, I want to first get to that stadium, Gas South Arena, is really cool. It's really nice. Had a lot of concessions, saw a bunch of fans walking around, saw some Lyle Thompson jerseys on some kids. That was pretty cool to see. Got to see people of all kinds of nationalities. That was real cool as well. The stadium itself, like in the arena, was really nice as well. The guy, again, I've never been to one of these things, but the guy who was trying to entertain people by saying, "I can't hear you," he was real cool. Charlie B of the Georgia Swarm, he's the in-arena host who tries to also get fans involved. That was real fun to do. As for the game, and during the game, went by so much faster than even I expected. Like, I'm sitting there watching these things on ESPN Plus, and not only are the players faster in real life, but the game goes by so much quicker. I was like, whoa, I just missed it. I missed the whole thing. No, I'm kidding. It was very entertaining. I recommend sitting up close, although you have to kind of look at the big screen on the other side, like that's next to you, because I had to like kind of lean over to see the other side of the field. But it was cool when I got to see Mark Matthews, who was gigantic in person. I tried to trash talk him. I didn't want to say trash talk, but I tried to say, "Hey, Mark. Hey, Mark." And then, of course, I was with some kids yelling defense as we beat on the glass. I got Alex Bouquet to look at me one time. And then, of course, he didn't look at me the rest of the game. I said, "Alex!" That was real fun. I tried to, like, troll them guys. But, no, it was a fun experience. I highly recommend it, actually. It was entertainment for sure. And the Swarm got a win. I will say, you really notice this when you're there in person. It is very sad to see how lethargic road teams come out. I want to come out here and tell you guys that both teams played so well. And the game started off like a blowout. And then, of course, the Rush came back a little bit, made it respectable. Then, of course, Swarm ended up like blowing the wheels off on like 13-9. But I was disappointed at how lethargic the Rush looked. There was like a couple of guys who were physical, and it was physical up close. Like those guys are huge, and you're sitting there watching, like, holy cow. But I wish they could fly a little bit better because you did notice it. You noticed the Rush were very, like, they seemed a little bit jet lagged. Not to say they weren't good, but they were all focused. I loved how determined they looked and everything. But man, it was frustrating to see how much faster the Swarm looked in person versus what the Rush looked like in person. I don't know if you saw that on the broadcast. I haven't watched the broadcast yet. I'm sure it's phenomenal. But I think that the Swarm seemed a lot quicker. But as for the game itself, really good experience. Did some diamond drop thing where a bunch of like women go on the field and like try to wrestle for some diamonds that fall out of the sky off of parachutes. Overall, great experience. I just wish the home team wasn't so much faster than the road team. That was my one gripe about it. But hey, really fun time. I also want to get to this in our co-top story here. The San Diego Seals once again won a game. And dare I say, Seals were pretty stinking good once again. But this game, just like the first game the Seals and the Desert Dogs played, this game again featured a very close game until the end of the fourth quarter. And this time, of course, the Seals were on the road. In this game, pretty clean game. There's like a few ticky-tack penalty minutes, but really, Desert Dogs, about this, Desert Dogs won 20 of 28 faceoffs. So I think that's a big deal when you look at that. But as far as the game itself, Desert Dogs were up in this game. They were up 5-2. It was 7-7 at halftime. Desert Dogs cut it to 10-9 in the fourth quarter. And then, of course, Curtis Dixon did Curtis Dixon things. This Desert Dogs team is going to be a pesky little team for the future. And I think they are one of the teams that we should be talking about more so, even on this show and other shows as well. But Las Vegas, man, they have played 2 games against the Seals, one in San Diego, one in Las Vegas. I thought they played phenomenally. Seals might be the best team in the NLL right now, and you couldn't even tell because the Desert Dogs are awesome. I love what Las Vegas is doing. I love it so much. So, but Seals deserve a lot of credit. Of course, Curtis Dixon is phenomenal. I love that Frank Scigliano is still playing well for the Seals. He had 36 more saves in this game. And, of course, allowed only 9 goals, which is awesome. Chris Iriglieri did allow a goal, so that was interesting. But no, just really good job by the Seals for getting that. I had to get that for more than just, Michael talking about his Swarm experience. When I come back, we're talking a whole Week 19 review, so strap in and get ready. It's Week 19 in the NLL, and there were some really good games and a bet that I hit that I hope you guys cashed in on. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Dilly Dive here on Dilly Dive Lax on social media and, of course, YouTube. Thank you so much for tuning in. Fanatics presents our Week 19 review and recap. Of course, Fanatics, you can go there using our social media bios and click the Fanatics logo. When you do so, the entire Fanatics experience is at your disposal. So check it out. All the NLL merchandise you can. I know I need to get some so badly. I did not get any this past weekend. And just go there, be a fan, be a fanatic, and shop the best merchandise at the link tree in our bios. On Dilly Dive Lax, click the Fanatics logo. Thank you so much for that. As I mentioned, the Georgia Swarm defeated the Saskatchewan Rush 13-9 in what was looking like an ugly game for the Rush to start. Because obviously these jet lag, I'm telling you, it's a real thing. I know what Cooper Perkins said on our show last week, but I promise you right now, the Swarm looked way faster and way stronger in that game in person. But Swarm were able to get the win, 13-9. Brett Dobson made a lot of awesome saves. I don't think Mark Matthews touched the ball a lot, and that was frustrating. I'm not. I know that Swarm did a really good job denying him the ball, but Mark Matthews was really doing practically nothing. He looked a little tired, trying to get physical with the refs one time. That was about it. But it was annoying to see as a closet Rush fan on the show. But the Swarm looked good. They deserve all the credit in the world. 4 goals, 4 assists from Lyle Thompson. Swarm have won 5 straight games, including 7 of 8. I made a remark to Charlie B at the game. I said, Charlie, it's a good thing the Swarm are no longer 0-7. 1, because I won't shut up about it when it started. And 2, because this team looks really good right now. Again, they look fast. And I noticed this is true. The Swarm are a smaller team. Shane Jackson is one of their better players. Andrew Q. Those guys were smaller compared to other NLL players. And it's kind of like giving them an advantage because they're able to like run by people. Like when I counted like 3 or 4 times when the Rush tried to come out on a break and Swarm just beat them to the spot and they couldn't get anything off. So that was fantastic to see. Swarm looked really good. Rush do not. But 13-9, Georgia gets the win. Albany Firewolves were plus 200 to beat the Rochester Nighthawks, and they did just that. Connor Fields had another great game. So Connor Fields had 10 points. And I wanted to tease this topic because we're probably going to get to it tomorrow. Who is the best player in the NLL? I know I told you guys that Jeff Teat, I do not believe, should be every single week. Well, in a week that Jeff Teat was off, Connor Fields had 8 assists and 2 goals. And unlike Dane Smith, Connor Fields does not have Josh Byrne, does not have Nate Hogananico. And Dane Smith has the luxury of playing in front of Matt Vince, who is amazing. Jeff Teat doesn't have anybody, but also puts up 1 pieces on like every other 3 or 4 games. So I'm going to go on a limb and forget the fact that I just said. I'll tease it. How about I'll say it right now? Connor Fields is the best player in the National Lacrosse League. I'll say it again for good measure. Connor Fields is the best player in the NLL. I'm sorry, Buffalo. I'm sorry, Calgary. I'm sorry, Saskatchewan. I'm sorry to everybody. I'm sorry to San Diego. I don't care. The fact is, Connor Fields has been the most consistent player this season. Tom Schreiber has a very low shooting percentage. Jeff Teat's team is terrible. Dane Smith plays with 3 or 4 guys on a super team. Okay? Connor Fields is the best player in the NLL. And I know this team just lost, but as we've mentioned before, Rylan Hartley has got to stop this thing where he shows up for some games and doesn't show up for the other. The man faced 51 shots. I know Jake Fox had 2 goals, 2 assists. I know a guy that we interviewed, Marshall Palace, had 6 dimes. Connor Kelly, 5 goals, 2 assists. Firewolves are not supposed to win this game. And this game falls on the feet of Rylan Hartley. But make no mistake, Connor Fields is the best player in the NLL. The Calgary Roughnecks defeated Panther City 12-5, and I told you guys this. It's a long flight from Fort Worth, Texas, all the way up to Calgary. And you're playing at Ugly Stadium. This was one of the easiest games to predict all week long. I told you guys the Roughnecks would cover, and they did. And I think they deserved it. I think, again, the NLL should allow these teams to fly private or don't allow any teams to fly private at all. I'm talking to you, San Diego. It matters. I'll say it again to Cooper Perkins. Cooper, I know you said that's one part of it. But after seeing what I saw in Georgia, and after seeing what Panther City, the egg that they laid against Calgary, jet lag matters in this league. And I hate saying that, but it's true. But shout out to the Roughnecks for getting the win. Of course, it's fair that they won. I'm not going to take anything away from them in that regard. But Calgary benefited a lot from being at home in this game. As for some of the stats for this game in Calgary, again, that ugly stadium that it is, Tanner Cook had 6 points. 4 of those were assists. Christian Del Bianco had 31 saves. As for Panther City, Nick Demude allowed 6 goals and 12 saves, and he was done for the day. The Colorado Mammoth beat the Vancouver Warriors 12-5. Aaron Bold tried to keep it close, but Eli McLaughlin and Dylan Ward had other plans for Colorado. I think Colorado has not been bad this year, but they haven't been great either. And to me, that's not good enough. Colorado is currently 8-7. They're back over 500, but again, it means absolutely nothing. They're not going to do anything in the playoffs, okay? This team has no offense to save its life. And the fact that you're at home and Vancouver can fly in there and hold you to 12 goals when they only score 5, Vancouver's been a better team this year than what they originally started. It was pretty bad how they started. But Colorado is just not good enough. I know they won 12-5, but this 8-7 record ain't cutting it. San Diego Seals and the Desert Dogs again, 14-10 in what was a fantastic game to see. I think this is a brewing rivalry. These two games have been close to the final quarter until the Seals were able to pull away both times. It's almost like the Seals have been inconsistent despite having a bunch of really good players on their team. Las Vegas is a bunch of rejects. I'll say it again. That's what the Desert Dogs are. They're basically a bunch of rejects. But shout out to the Seals for getting the win. But shout out even more so to Las Vegas for keeping it close once again. When I come back to Daily Dive, we're not done yet. It's time to give out 3 stars of the weekend. So don't go anywhere. I know I'm not. We'll be right back. Coffee Company, that's BREZ Coffee Company, code Daily Dive at checkout. Support the awesome flavors over there and the good people at BREZ Coffee Company. Their birthday is on Wednesday, so don't forget. All right, time for our 3 stars of the weekend, and I cannot wait to get to this one. Number 1, the first one of the weekend has got to go to Lyle Thompson. Lyle Thompson of the Georgia Swarm had 4 goals, 4 assists as part of the Swarm's 13-9 victory over the Rush. The Swarm came out firing, and they fired very well early. I believe they had like 6 goals in the first quarter, and that was pretty much good enough to keep the Rush at arm's length. So great job for Lyle Stinkin' Thompson. He showed up in a game that I showed up to. Thank you, Lyle, for that. And Brett Dobson was great too. Number 2, I told you guys Connor Fields is the best player in the NLL. Well, Connor Kelly of the Firewolves got the win in Rochester. 5 goals, 2 assists in a big-time +2-1 upset as Albany what was this like? They had not won since January 27th, and their record right now is 3-12. Good God Almighty. I like their young core, though. I'm not going to lie. Marshall Palace, 6 assists in that one as well. And who doesn't love Doug Jamieson? Number 3 of our 3 stars of the weekend is Curtis Dixon of the San Diego Seals. When push came to shove, Curtis Dixon was really good when it counted, with 3 goals and 5 assists for an 8-piece points this weekend against the Desert Dogs on the road. So there you have it. Lyle Thompson, Connor Kelly, and Curtis Dixon, your 3 stars of the weekend, here presented by B-Res Coffee Company. Don't forget to check out Daily Dive Lax on social media pages. We'll be back tomorrow for another edition of Daily Dive. It'll be the 11th, and we'll talk about our attendances. And I'll tell you what, I want to show this now, but I'll leave it for later. Just know, the Georgia Swarm, I can confirm, are lying about 9,000 people. That's all I'll say. Now, did they say there was 9,000 people this week? I have the number. Just know that number is a lie, okay? It's a lie. I had to throw some shade there at the end. This has been Daily Dive. Thanks so much for tuning in once again. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. For every awesome guest we have on the show, for the great people of the Georgia Swarm who are awesome and do not lie about the attendances, I'm Mauro Karvelis saying have a great rest of your day. We'll be right back. See you tomorrow.